All right. The big day is here. We are done doing our Hawaii island hopping, if you will. We didn't do that many flights here, but guess what? I'm excited to go ahead and get out of here and start heading east, if you will, or west, out to the east, or whatever, however they call it. The Orient is the east. So anyway, but we will be traveling west to get to the east. We are headed to Tokyo, Japan in this Airbus A350-900. We're flying for Hawaiian Airlines today, obviously. Now, this is a real route that runs from Hawaii all the way over to Japan. The only difference is they use an A330. We're going to go ahead and use this A350 because that's what we have in our warehouse, our hangar, I should say. So let's get everything programmed. The flight is 8 hours and 48 minutes. Obviously, we'll be able to edit some of the flight out so you're not there for the entire time, but you'll be there for the exciting stuff, such as our planning, taxi, takeoff, ascent up to cruise, and then the reverse from cruise to descent, to approach, final approach, taxi in and shut down, with a nice replay of how we did. So this is a lot of time commitment, so we better be on our P's and Q's for our landing. So without further ado, let's go ahead and do this thing. We are at gate C1, Charlie 1. Once we get to Japan, we will be pulling up to gate 66, which is in Terminal 2. So I've done a lot of planning. We're going to be putting in some oceanic waypoints again, so let's hopefully we get it right this time. Last time we used the Boeing 757-300 out of Anchorage to come to Hawaii, and we did some oceanic stuff. We made a little folly at first, but then we corrected ourselves. So without further ado, let's jump on board. You see you got some guys on here figuring stuff out. We are on the VATSIM network. You can most certainly come up here and see there's another aircraft right here that just came in, if you will. He's flying for American. So he just arrived here moments ago. You can see downtown Honolulu looking beautiful, but enough of that. Obviously, these passengers have seen enough of downtown Honolulu, therefore they are ready to roll. We are on this completely cold and dark cockpit, and since our last flight, we have learned some things about our aircraft, about this parking brake, and if you ever do fly this sim, you need to make sure that you go into the functions, go into the sim 1, and make sure that you have the B for toggling brakes at normal capacity, and then the V for toggling brakes at full, because this aircraft will not stop once you land. Learn that the hard way. And when you disconnect the autopilot, these little babies right here are going to extinguish that noise, even though they won't be illuminated, so it will be a little tricky. Up top we go. A lot of talking happening here. Let's go ahead and get these batteries on. Alright, we're just going right across the board here. We're going to do this bus tie. We'll leave the generators off. And in the meantime, let's get our nav light on, which is essentially our position light. Now we have this interface, which we've seen before. We're going to go to ground service. We're going to go to ground equipment. And we are most certainly going to get our GPU unit. Let's go back up top. And now you see the external power 1 is available. So now it just has connected to that. Now what we can simply start doing is plug in some of these buttons to where they are on. Let's get all this data here, and then of course let's scroll up. Manual, these should all be to auto here. And we're turning all these on here. Now we need to get all of our cabin. Our passenger data is already on. Then of course now we need to set our IRS's ADIRS, which is our AD, but IRS, same thing. They call it ADIRS on this Airbus. Alright, so everything else up top looks good. Data gate link is on. Alright, now we'll just go back and just make sure these are all false. So when they're off, but they say fault, that means they're on. However, the aircraft is off. So once they do come on, they should automatically come up, but again, and extinguish themselves to where they're probably all black, indicating they're on and being used. but we will double check that for sure. And I'm just double checking that we have everything here. We'll be closing our bleed. We'll open our isolation valve here in a minute. Let's go here and make sure our emergency lights are armed. Let's get the seat belts and no smoking situation on there, and I think that will be good for now. Now in the meantime, let's come down here. We must position our aircraft. So we're going to come here to the IRS. The Align is going to be available, but we cannot do it just yet because we do have to do some initialization, which means we've got to tell them exactly where we're going for the IRSs to align. So like any Airbus, we're going to do the from, which is here in Honolulu. Hit enter that function, and then we are going to RJAA, which is Tokyo, and RJGG is the alternate. I don't remember the name of the airport, so don't give me the line. We're cruising today at 40,000 feet, and our cost index today, I believe I typed in 50 in the flight plan. Now that we have this in, you can come over here and click on this IRS button. It will bring this back. Now that it knows where we're at, now we can click on this align IRS, and as you can see, it will be available, the align, in 7 minutes. Now it's aligning on our position because we did put the airport information in. Now this is where we're also going to be using our runway slope information for takeoff. If you guys remember that the last time we flew this, so we don't have to go back over that. We know the formula. Now in order to fill this baby up, we most certainly let's see, we don't need the passenger bus, we don't need chocks. We can do luggage loader, and we'll say the plane is at the gate because it is. I don't know if that's going to do anything. So that's the ground services right now. Now we need to go over to the airplane, and first of all, we're going to go with a heavy load of passengers, and I do mean this thing is heavy. Let's see here. I'm not quite sure that I want all the, well, these loading bins. There's some empty. Passengers look good. 170, 34, 19, and 18. So 20 and 20 is 40 minus 3. That's 37. 30 and 30, 60. So that'll be 71. So we got about 241 passes on it. Just did a little quick math. So that's what we're going to be implementing them here in a minute, but we're not going to get them loaded yet. Let's go over to our fuel. And of course, let's go ahead and share that flight plan with you. I'm moving pretty quick. This is going to be a long, we're going to be in the office for a while here. Almost a 9-hour flight. So here is our fuel, which we are most certainly going to be putting in here to our destination. You can see we're going to use 50,347 kilograms of fuel. We're using kilograms and pounds. This is the Airbus, which they do input data in kilograms. Not to mention we are going to Asia and Europe, and they do use kilograms versus what we use over here, which is the imperial system. They use the metric system. Anyhow, 8 hours and 48 minutes is our time with 50,347 kilograms of fuel. Our contingency fuel is 2517 kilograms. Alternate to our airport is 4,616 kilograms with a final reserve of 2,200 kilograms. And I did add extra fuel in, so we have an extra 2,300 kilograms for a block fuel of 62,479 pounds of fuel. This will essentially be the longest time. This will be the longest flight that I've taken in this aircraft for sure. So it's going to be interesting to see how it handles and the way the tanks fill up with this fuel amount of fuel that we're putting in. And then of course, so I don't show this to you again, here is our route, which you can see here. And the winds are out of the east right now, so more than likely we will be taking off runway 8 left. And it's quite a long route. Here you can see those oceanic waypoints that we're going to put in there. So essentially this will be 22 north. We'll get rid of the first digit and 70. That'll be it. So we'll try to put it in just that way, and hopefully everything comes out copacetic. There is no step climbs on this flight. So if you come up, you'll see here flight level steps. There's only up to flight level 400, which is what we're going to be doing. And let me see, that cost index that we put in here is 160. Let's see, the cost index for whatever reason is 160 on here. I must have went to auto when I did that, because I should have picked a smarter cost index than that. But that's what the flight plan says. But we put 50 in the aircraft anyway, so no big deal there. And so let's also come over here and look at our Honolulu's weather. Let's update it for the latest and greatest, which this is. Okay, so we're VFR conditions. Winds are out of the east. We're only a 10-degree disparity from leaving on runway 08, which is 80 degrees. Left, 15 knots. So we got a nice strong headwind, so we should get some good lift, because it's virtually going to come almost at 12 o'clock off the nose of the plane based off of the wind right now. So this is good. And the altimeter is 2993. And the temperature outside in Fahrenheit is 80 degrees or 27 degrees Celsius. 10 miles of visibility, few clouds, and scattered between 2,000 and 4,500. All right, last update that I'll give you guys before we get to the nitty gritty will be here. So essentially, we are on the ramp. Once we taxi, it's going to be super easy. We can push back and then essentially come this way. Right down here, or we can take Zulu to Golf, or we can just ease right here on November and cross over here. So we could go to Golf or November, doesn't matter. We're going to cross the runway over here and come all the way down this way for takeoff. Otherwise, we could go this way, but I believe this way is going to give us a better, further point to enter the runway. Otherwise, we could take this. Just stay on this side, Zulu, pick up Golf for a hot second, pick up Alpha, and take Alpha all the way down to Alpha 4. I personally like the straight across and then down for whatever reason. It's kind of the same thing, but I feel like this one you got to go a little further out, whereas this one you come up and make that smart angle. So who knows? At any rate, that is our plan, and then our route, just for you guys to see, is a doozy. So you can see our whole general direction of flight is going to be in a northwestern direction. Starting here, we'll be in Oakland Oceanic ATC coverage here if there ever comes on, and then we switch right on over here to this Oceanic service coming off of Japan, right into the field here. Okay, so without further ado, let's stop messing around and let us get our fuel on board, which is very important. Otherwise, we go down, and we go down quick, which we don't want. All right, so starting off, our trip is going to take 50,347 pounds of fuel. And then our alternate is 4616 kilograms. If I said pounds in the last one, sorry, that's all kilograms. And our contingency fuel is 2517 kilograms. APU time they haven't really factored that in. So we're going to say we're going to run the APU for a total of 40 minutes. Taxi time, they've got the taxi at 20 minutes. That's, you know, I don't like that. I'm going to go taxi time up to 35 minutes just because I like that extra fuel. And then we're only here at 59.44, so now I'm just literally going to give myself some extra fuel even beyond what I planned. So now we're at 64,440 kilograms of fuel, which is more than fine. Let's go ahead and implement that. Now we can go back over to the passengers and let's get that implemented. No, there's the problem. So I need to come back here and let's see, is it under cabin for the doors? No. Let's go, it should be under airplane. Passengers, maybe it is under the ground service, which you would think it would be doors and hatches. They would be on the actual, there, we did the load configuration now. so we can get the aircraft loaded. So now we most certainly need to come back over here to the passengers, and we need to implement them. So fuel's loaded. All right, passenger and cargo's being loaded. All right, so we still have the fuel coming on board. It looks like our IRSs have came up, so let's go ahead and extinguish this, and then in the meantime we're gonna go ahead and put this in a different, yeah, we'll stay right here with the arc, and let's get in here and start doing some flight planning. The IRSs are aligned. Okay, we'll stick with that. Oh, in the meantime, let's just come down here onto the servos, and let's see our squawk code. We're gonna switch this to 2200. And we want to start turning all these on. Turning all our servos on since we do have some power. We're going to leave our transponder off for right now. And we'll get back to that. But we at least have these all taken care of. And let's see the ATCOM. Connect notification, so we don't need to mess with this right now. Let's see what the ATIS says over here. Okay, that's not going to give us anything, so let's come back here now, and let's go ahead and start working our flight plan situation. Let's also go down here to the lower pedestal first and make sure all our comms are up. That way, in case somebody does start talking to us, we'll be able to hear them. And we also need the PA turned up, and so that's VHF 1. We don't need anything on 2 at this point, so there we're good. And you can see our squawk is already in there even though it's off. Also, if you come here, all these systems should be on right now, but we'll just turn them on here. Okay, that looks good. All right, so let's go back up now and start doing a little bit of flight planning. So leaving, let me pull up my flight plan. We're leaving on the Keola 2, and let's go ahead and put in a departure, make things easier. So we know it's runway 8 left, and the SID we are doing is the Keola 2, and the transition is going to be Nani. All right. So we're going to modify that flight plan. Now there's a discontinuity here simply because, you know, we have to, on this departure, it must have us doing some manual vectors here. So let's get this Keola 2. All right, let's read this together. So it's not going to be just a seamless here. Okay. Must complete a right turn to assigned heading within 2 nautical miles of departure in the runway. Cross CKHR2 at or above 2500. Turn right, left. Doesn't matter now, which will slow to be us. Turn right, left to heading assigned by the tower. Expect vectors to Keola. Maintain 5000 in via transition. Expect clearance on route. So we're going right up. We're not doing any of that. There's no ATC. So essentially we're going to come off of 8 left, and it's saying we must complete a right turn, even though it's depicting a left turn. Oh, I guess here it is, right turn right here. Boom. So we're going to make a right turn to assigned heading, which we don't have an assigned heading. So that's cool. So here's what we'll do. We'll make our right turn. And we'll basically just make it to be a 90-degree turn, and then from there we'll let our aircraft fly, we'll straighten it up, and then we will most certainly plug in our direct to the next waypoint, and then the aircraft will do its right turn, and then we'll keep climbing. So, and either way, we're going to just be doing our climb as it is. And then off, and then Nani straight out here, basically to the west, is going to be our transition point. So let's keep plugging in our flight plan. Let's see, so we can insert that, so that becomes religion. And then now after Nani, we need to keep putting in these waypoints, of course. So after Nani, we're going to go Brian. Let's see. Now I have to remember how we put the, I think we need to, let me see, do we click in this, insert next waypoint, okay. And we're inserting this one, Brian, supply that, insert that, okay, perfect, now it comes right there, so that's how we do it. Insert the next waypoint, which is a, okay, so let's hope this works, hopefully I do it right this time. We're going to do 22 north, and by 70, should accept that, apply that, and there it is. Let's see, horse heading 271, so general same direction, so we must be entering that in correctly. Now let's insert the next waypoint. I'm going to try to do it this way, that way we don't have to. So the next one is 23 north 80, 23 north 80, and we're going to apply that. Let's make sure that's going in. Okay, so it didn't. So now each time we have to hit this situation there. Now let's go back and insert the next waypoint, which we said was 23 north 80. Apply that, and okay, it's not going in there for whatever reason. Let's try this again. Okay, insert airways, constraints. Okay, we are going to do this again. Let's see, 23 north 80. It's always something interesting. Okay, it's not there, so let's try the next waypoint. Let's see, after that, we are going to add 25 north 65, 25 north 65. Enter that. So none of these appear to be going in at all. So that's a problem. Go figure. That worked. So I guess it likes that. North 23, east 180. Still heading 270, 555. So we'll double check all this in the flight plan. There's always just some new interesting way to put these waypoints in. So now the next waypoint is going to be, okay, so we got to do 2500 north slash 17,000 east. Enter. Apply. Same heading. So we'll insert that. Now we'll come here and do insert next waypoint, and we're going to be putting in 2500 north and 16.5 east. Apply that, insert, and let's keep looking at that and double check it. Now it's 280, so that's more starting to head more north now, so that's about right. So let's keep her going. Alright, insert next waypoint is going to be 2700 north by 16000 east. 2700 north, 16,000 east. Apply that. Let's get a look at that. Okay, that looks good. Alright, and I literally have to go further into the flight plan to do this. So essentially, let me say what I'm talking about so that we can have another learning moment here. Alright, so essentially, this was the coordinate that I was putting in before. Essentially, I was doing 25 north. You get rid of this digit here, and you do the last 2 digits, and you get rid of the E. But now, what I'm doing is I'm taking the actual whole Latin lon. So now you have to go 2500 north slash 16500 E. And that's how it's taking it. So with each aircraft, it's going to give us a little bit different challenge, but there's only a few ways to skin a cat on this one. So it's a matter of ruling them out and figuring out which one is supposed to be for us. Alright, so that was the last waypoint in our area of operation. Now moving into the Japanese waters. The next waypoint is going to be 2700 north. So 2700 north by direct. Okay, I'm sorry, it's 2900 north. I was going to be putting in the wrong one. And it's going to be 15.5 E. Enter that. Apply. Insert. Alright, still doing good. So let's add our next waypoint. Alright, next waypoint is going to be 3100 north and 15,000 E. Apply that. Insert. There we go. So gradually you can see the headings are turning more northwestern, which is what we want. Alright, so after that waypoint, N31 150E, and the cool thing is these end up looking just like they should once you're looking at the waypoint. So that's the good thing, where you can essentially only the E comes out to be, you know, in the wrong spot, but other than that, it looks just like it. So alright, 30 north 31. Okay, and then the next E-tops. Okay, exit. Let me see if that's actually a route part of it. Alright, 25, 27, 29, 31, 150, then direct Farrar. So now we can start getting back into some normal looking waypoints. Oops. 31, 150. Yep, okay, now Farrar. So let's insert next waypoint. I don't know what I clicked on last time, and it's going to be Foxtrot Echo Romeo. I mean, yeah, Foxtrot Echo Romeo Alpha Romeo. Insert that bad boy. And even though that's not a Latin lon, let's just make sure it still makes sense, and it does. Let's do the next waypoint. The next waypoint is OTR 17. Alright, supply that. And that must be an airway. So OTR 17 smolt. So now that'll tell you that was an airway. So airways via OTR 17. And then we're going to go to smolt. Alright. Let's modify, insert. Let's keep looking at what we're doing. There we go. Now we're going to enter another airway. Okay, this airway is going to be Yankee 824 and Yankee 824 to Olvec. Enter that. A lot of work we're doing here, getting this thing ready for us to leave. Alright, and then we're doing another airway from Olvec. We're going to insert an airway. It's going to be Yankee 817. And we are taking Yankee 817 to Minix. Alright, let's add that bad boy in. Alright, from Minix, we're doing another airway. They definitely made this interesting. We're doing Yankee 813. And we will be exiting that in Lubla. And then from Lubla, it's got us going to Lublag. So we'll just add that in. You know what? I don't even think we need to add that in because on the FlightAware routes, that wasn't in there. That was something SynBrief added in. Lubla, Lublag. So Lublag is really called Regza. Okay, so Lublag is actually the arrival. So now we come over here, pick an arrival. The cool thing is, let's see here. Alright, RJA matter. Right now, the winds are variable. So at 3 knots, so we can pretty much select any runway that we're going to land on here. So I was looking for the weather. Let me go to that field there and see what taxiways that are runways that we have available, and we'll just select one because we know for sure between now and then there could be a considerable amount of changes that are going to transpire. Alright, it's always a chore trying to find the airport info on these other charts. So we got 16 right and 3-4 left. Well, we'll just assume that we're kind of coming west like this, you know, from wherever. So we'll select let's see, terminal 1. We need terminal 2, so T10. Let me see where the parking gates are at. Okay, we're parking terminal 2. So it's that one, and terminal 2 we're parking at gate 66. Okay, so let's go back to the airport chart. Let me just show you guys. So I apologize, not showing you guys here, but I'm working through this. So essentially we're going to be parking over here. This is terminal 2, as you can see, and then parking. So look, you can see all this. I got to work to this and figure out which one I'm supposed to use to look at what chart. Now I got to get back to the parking coordinates, wherever that may be. I just had it, obviously. Here we go. So this one is terminal 2, and parking stand 66 is over here. So that'll be no worries. So back to the airport info. So we know if we are going to choose a runway, I'd still choose this one to make taxi better for us. If we choose this one, we got a long taxi, we're burning lots of fuel. So let's pick runway 34 left for this evolution. So we're going to pick runway 34 left. We're gonna pick the star, so there is none. Maybe we have to do approach 3-4 left. Maybe via. There we go. Okay. I don't see the trusty. Let me see, what was that point? I thought it was love lag. Let me see the stars here. Okay, so I was thinking it was Lubla, but it's Lubla G. Let me click on Lubla G and see what runways this is available for. Okay, that's why. This lub lag is only available for the southern runways. Let me check the traffic out again. And it makes sense. It looks like a lot of the winds are out of the south. See, from the northwest, 280 degrees, northwest 330. Huh. So we have to change our runway if we're going to stick with this star, which, you know, we may have to change it on our way in, but in the meantime, we need to change this. If we're taking 3-4 left, that would be 16 right. Now we should be able to get the right, well, we got to change the approach, of course, too. We would just assume we would do the Zulu. We don't know the via. Now here's the lub lag. And we're transitioning none. And we just enter that. Let's make it a reality. And then there goes our easy transition from Minix. It goes right into the lub lag situation. Should that be it? But if not, in the air, we'll change some stuff up. There's our missed approach in blue. And there we go. So as it stands now, we'll get up in the air. We can't get rid of this flight discontinuity. For example, it just won't let us unless we try. Let's delete it and see if it lets us do it. It won't let it because this is manual. So we'll get up in the air. Then when we go direct, we'll go direct to one of these situations. Let's see, insert, airways, wind, constraints, new, overfly, airways, from P position direct to. Okay, so we'll be using this. This is how we do direct. So that'll be simple. So now that we've done that, we need to most certainly go into our performance situation here, and we are going to do a togo. We're not doing anything derated, so we're just doing togo on this bad boy, and we'll do flaps 2. Now we need to look for the runway slope. So let's first of all, before we get ahead of ourselves, folks, this is a long flight, so we need to make sure we are tracking like a VCR here. For those of you who remember what a VCR is. So this is quite the route, so we should be able to get. Let's go over here into the flight plan. And let's scale this back a little bit so that I can touch this button. Alright, so there we're on route. There was just a little discontinuity because we're flying manual. There's on route. You can see everything is looking good. Alright, so that's pretty fluid. So again, we managed to save ourselves some trouble and put the flight plan in the correct way. Let's get this down, and we'll get this back to arc, of course. Now let's go ahead and put in the altimeter, which I believe was 299 or 6 in Hawaii here. Let me refresh the weather since we've been dinking around here so much trying to get this aircraft up and running. All right, winds are still all out of the 70s, 299.5 to be exact now. So let's jump over to the first officer side and do the same thing, which is you guys. I'm really going to need you guys' help on this flight. All right, we said 299.5. And of course, let's get the first officer's stuff looking good here. And we'll expand his a little bit to 60 nautical miles, or yours. I keep saying his, yours. Now let's go back up here. And while we're finishing this up, we're going to go ahead and start the APU. So essentially, we're going to turn this master on. And we're going to do start. So we'll let that get going. Let's go ahead and button up all the doors. All the doors are closing. So that's on. Okay, now the APU is on. It should give us an available here in a second. Let me go down. Okay, so APU looks like it should be available now. It's 100% on the N1 fan for the APU. So let's go up top, and it is now available. So now we need to look for the APU generator, which is right here. So now it's on. We can also open our bleed valves and put the APU bleed on. We can turn that off now. So let's go over here to our ground services and disconnect that. Let's get rid of the fuel truck, the loader, and this plane at gate. Now we are most certainly on APU power. Let's go ahead and plan our better pushback here. Didn't do that as planned, so we are essentially going to let's see, I don't think we'll be able to get a turn right here.
Ground to cockpit, plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Alright, we will do that, but before we do that, while we have the APU running, let's run through the before pushback. Okay, we got the clearance, our fuel quantity. Let's double check what that is. Again, making sure now that the plane is loaded. 64,432 kilograms of fuel, so we're satisfied with that. Now our final load sheet. This is one thing that we do need to do, so let's come over here and make this happen before we forget. We still want to come here and go to our performance. We still have to figure out our calculations here. So now we're going to come over here and we'll go to the airplane and we'll go to the performance calculator. We are taking off flaps 2. Now the runway slope, we'll work this in math really quick. So let's see, let's get back on the right airport. Okay, so here's what we're going to do the math again. Okay, so we are taking off runway 8 left. So let me get my rusty, dusty, trusty pin. Okay, so we have to take the differences in the runway elevations. So elevation 12 and elevation is 259. So you have to assume that difference between the two is I'm sorry, elevation 9. What am I doing? I'm looking at the degrees. I'm going crazy. Elevation 9, right? And elevation 12. So the difference is only going to be 3. So then now we're going to divide 3 by 12,312, and I'll tell you what that comes up to. Let me get my old calculator here. So we're going to take 3 and we're going to divide that by 12,312. And then we're going to multiply that by 100. Okay, so we have a runway slope of, we basically don't have a runway slope. Obviously, I knew that was going to come in because there's only a disparity of 3. There's no big disparity, so we can almost just put, because even if you round up, there is no slope. So 0, 0, enter that. Because there is no runway slope, because you're only going to enter the one digit after the calculator. So once you take 3 and divide that by 12,312, you get some crazy number. But once you do multiply that by 100, it's 0.0, and the next digit after the 0 in the 100ths place is the 2, and 2 doesn't round that up to 1. So it's 0.0. So this essentially no flex, and this is our temperatures, probably because of the weight. So what was that? That was 151 and 154. So let's come here. This is 151. 151. Enter, and 154. Oops. 154. There we go. Now it has accepted that. So this is our takeoff speed right here, and it says 8 left. Our transition altitude is 18,000 feet, so that is good, folks. So now let's we finished our load sheet. We have our 0 fuel weight and all that stuff in the FMS, so there's no worries there. ECAM is within normal operating limits. Seat belt, seat pedals, external power is all taken care of. In the meantime, let's go ahead and turn our logo light on to auto, and we will get our red beacon on because we are getting ready to go for pushback. Let's go up top and make sure. Okay, that'll be. We'll keep all that on fault, and these will come on because we will have to set our hydraulics, our pitch to match. All right, so everything is on. Let's go ahead and come up here really quick and request our pushback.
Grounded cockpit. Tow is driving up.
All right, tow is driving up. All right, so let's come back down here. Spaced out there for a second, just thinking about some things. Okay, so the parking brake is not off, so we'll let them ask for us to turn the parking brake off. It is on. In the meantime, I think we're good to go. So we'll let them hook up here for a second. Now let's go ahead and get our altitude where we want to put it.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
All right, 40,000. We got our flight directors on, which is looking good. We essentially don't need to mess with anything. We have our altimeters all set. Just wait for them to do their thing. You can hear them out there.
Tow connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
Alright, now we're going to release the parking brake.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Alright, folks. Let's come on over here and just come down here to our cab announcements. Let's play that.
Ladies and gentlemen, the captain and crew would like to welcome you on board this Airbus A350. If you haven't already done so, please stow your carry-on luggage underneath the seat in front of you, or in an overhead bin. The flight crew will do everything possible to make your flight comfortable and enjoyable. Xplane.org, onesim.com, and Ramses Aviation Design wish you a pleasant flight experience.
Alright, I'm going to go ahead and choose our taxi route. Again, I think we're just going to take To be honest with you, we can take Sierra. Let's see what I want to do. We can come down here. We can either take Zulu and go straight across to Alpha. So we'll taxi Zulu Alpha. Zulu Alpha to Zulu Alpha to RB. So we're gonna taxi Zulu Alpha RB.
Operation complete. Go ahead and set the parking brake.
Okay.
Disconnecting tow. Stand by.
Alright, parking brake is set. Just make sure again we don't have any ATC here, which we don't. And for some reason it's saying we can't transmit, which means we need to turn the mic on. Now we can. So let's disconnect that. Alright folks. Let's see here. I believe he said hand signal is going to be on the right. Alright, but anyway, we were clear to go ahead and start engine, so let's go ahead and do that now. So we're going to come down here to the center pedestal, and we're going to turn this into our ignitions. And we'll start the second engine first.
Tow is disconnected, and bypass bin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time, and have a safe flight.
Okay, hand signal is going to be on the right. See, the engine is coming up. It's on its auto start sequence, so it'll take a little bit for everything to be recognized here. And you can see now it's really coming up. Alright, hand signals to the right. See if he gets out. There he goes. He's giving us that hand signal. Thanks, brother, you did a great job. They should pay this guy over here a little bit more money too. He's been standing in the military parade rest for a while. Alright, we got one engine on. Go ahead and get number two, or the first engine started, or the second engine that we are starting. Alright. So we can we'll wait to turn all the generators on. Once we actually get going. See a Southwest aircraft down there. Or some type of aircraft. He's taking off in the distance. Landing gear going up, and he's out of there. Alright. Engines look stable. Okay, engines are most certainly stable, so now we'll come up top. And now we have to get our packs on, engine bleeds. And before we turn the APU off, let's just go up top, make sure our generators are on. And now you can see all of our hydraulics are on. Alright, doing our flow, everything looks good there. So now we can most certainly turn the APU generator off. We can turn the APU bleed off, and then we can put the isolation valve to auto if we would like, which should automatically close it. Now we can most certainly turn the APU off, and that's going to extinguish itself. And let's get our flaps to 2. So they're in transit, and let's go ahead and get our safety briefing going. Let's do doors to auto first. Alright, flaps are there, and takeoff for this should be, it says 25. Let's double check our perf calculator over here while they're doing the safety announcements. Let's see here. We'll go to airplane and perf calculator. And yeah, our takeoff percent, center of gravity is 25.6. So that's what we're gonna do here too. 25.6, so we're not far off. Alright. Takeoff for this is, let's see, 26. So I rounded up to 26. Takeoff TH for 26%, 26%. Let's just go back and double check that. Oh, it rounded up 25.6, so it rounded it up to 26%. Headwind is 14 knots. Runway length that we need is 3,740 meters. Alright, now we need to do a few different things here. Let's go ahead and get into this normal procedures, engine start, APU's done, bleed, all that's done. That's already off. We didn't do it. ECAM page is on. So essentially what we have to do is come down here and do a status check. Alright. Next, we're going to do after start. Engine and controls. Engine selector is to normal and it's not. So let's get that done. So now it is. See if it'll let us check it now. Ground spoilers aren't armed. Flap levers are set. Pitch trim status. ECAM status. We check that. So let's do our ground spoilers, of course. So if you look down here, you're going to see this thing rise up. Now the spoilers are armed. And then, of course, before we do our takeoff configuration, we need to come over here to the wheels page. A lot to do here. And again, I'm not doing the checklist all the way. I know what I'm doing here, so we'll be okay here. Alright. There we go. Auto brake high. So that's good. And then we need to turn our anti-skid on, which is right there. So there's nothing else in orange, and then we just need to do the takeoff configuration test, and we're okay. Alright, and everything here looks good. Takeoff configuration test is normal. It just did its run through. So regardless of us running through this checklist, we're still doing everything that we need to do. Now this passenger data is not off. I don't know why it always says it is, but if you come up top, passenger data is on. So it's not off, it's on. And that's guarded. So last time we got a error message for passenger data, and let's see if we do again. And see, we still do again. It's not on, it's off. You guys clearly saw it is. Let's go back up and just click that button. It clearly says it's on. So anyway, it says on. They're saying it's off. So I'll have to look that up because it already says it's on. Why would it tell me to turn it off to go to black, even though black is extinguishes? Normally when it's off, it says off. So I don't know if that's a glitch, but either way, you guys saw that we checked it out. So next, pressurization. Everything's on auto, and let's check this pressurization. Oh, that was passenger data was the only thing off. That's okay. Now we are going to do a flight control tech check. Nose runner turn, runway turn off lights on, taxi on, park and brake off, thrust levers as required. Okay, so the last thing we have to do is a flight controls check. So we're going to come here and do exactly that. We need to look at the, where is it at? Here it is. Alright. Alright, we're going to go full up, full down, aileron left, aileron right, rudder left, and rudder right. I think that's a good check, guys. What do you think? Alright. Let's get back on our takeoff configuration, and we can go to our basically our systems page up here. Everything is normal, and the last steps to do, guys, is to turn our runway turnout lights on and our taxi light on. And no smoking, beacon, everything else is looking good. You see we had another aircraft come in. So nose lights to taxi. Oh, I must have put them on to takeoff. That's alright. And we know this is all going to be done right now because we ain't going to be able to move. We ain't! Using those great words there. And before takeoff, let's get this all done. Acquired, EFS operations, table stowed, which has a TARA set. Oh, here's a good one. Good thing we're doing the checklist because I almost forgot about that. So we need to come up here, we need to go to servos, we need to go to controls, and now we need to do on and TARA. So there we go. Back to FMS, of course, and we need to go to the active flight plan. And okay, so we are ready to taxi. Honolulu traffic, Hawaiian 318 is here at gate Charlie 1. We'll be taxiing runway 8 left via Zulu Alpha and Romeo Bravo for Honolulu traffic. Alright, so we most certainly have had quite the time getting this airplane up where it is supposed to go. And without further ado, let us ride off into the sunset, if you will. Alright, we've got some movement here. Okay, so now we're on Zulu. This will turn into Alpha. Slide back in our seat just a little bit. Make sure that doesn't impede our view. Sometimes it does. This is where this will turn into Alpha. Alright, now essentially this is turning into the Alpha taxiway. So we are going to get up in the air. Once we arm the autopilot, we are essentially going to take everything manually, of course. So we're going to be doing, we're supposed to do a right turn, which essentially will be basically a southern turn. So we'll probably turn to like heading 180 or so. And then from 180, we'll get the aircraft direct to the first waypoint. And that should be it, folks. I mean, not a whole lot going on. Honolulu typically tends to be a little bit more of a busy airport for Hawaii. It's probably the one all the planes fly into. It's the biggest airport in the Hawaiian Islands, which I did enjoy doing some flights over here. And maybe, well, the next time we're over here, we'll pick some more grittier little general aviation type flying runways and stuff like that. Alright. Okay, so this is us for sure. This is Romeo Bravo. Alright, swing this bad boy over here and slow her down. Alright, parking brake is set. Let's go down here now and do our check off. Strobe lights, SW, table, TCAS mode, TARA. So now, see, here's the problem with the taxi light. See, this got 3 positions. There's off, but as soon as you turn it on, it goes all the way to on. So now let's go ahead and turn our landing light on, and let's get our strobes on. We'll just get those all the way to auto. And now, as you can see, everything auto checked itself. Now for takeoff. Takeoff thrust, V1 monitor, flap 0, I mean, there is really no way we can do this. Why it's just us. We would definitely need a first officer, but you know we're going to do all that stuff. So, let's come over here, and let's do our cab announcements, seats for takeoff. Of course. Honolulu traffic. Hawaiian 318 entering runway 8 left for immediate departure for Honolulu traffic. Alright, and we should have told them what we were departing on, but here's the problem. I forgot what we were departing on, the name of it, so they should just know, watch out for 8 left. Alright, we want to take it nice and easy. We're getting ready to hit our chrono button. Booyah! Alright. Takeoff power is set. I had to fix my mouse really quick. Sorry about that. Don't do that on takeoff, by the way. Alright. See that? SimWorld is trying to treat me rough on takeoff. Airspeed is alive over 100, but we got her straightened out. Alright, 120 cross check. Coming up on V1 and rotate. She's coming up, folks. Alright. Nice and smooth off the deck. Gear R coming up. Alright, now we need to go ahead and start making our turn. On over. Speed check flaps 1.
Speed, 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 speed.
And let's nose down here a little bit.
Speed, 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 speed.
All right, still making our turn.
Speed, speed.
All right, almost to 180. All right. All right, now we have a nice little heading. We're climbing. course. Let me straighten her out. Now let's go ahead and get this autopilot on. Autopilot, and we are going to pull out this heading, and we are going to pull this out as well because we want to go all the way up. You can see the aircraft is still getting some speed going on here. Honolulu traffic, Hawaiian Airlines 318 is clear of runway 08 left, climbing unrestricted to flight level 400. Alright, so we're still climbing there. I'm going to keep that on the heading there. Now we're going to come here and we're going to do direct from position. And we're going to do direct and direct to, let's see, actually, let's return. I'm just going to do the direct down in this other GPS just because it's easier to. So we'll do direct to Keola and we'll insert that. And now the aircraft is simply going to do direct there, and we can get rid of all of our flaps. So now we're making our turn to Keola. The aircraft is still climbing. We're going to go ahead and get our taxi lights off. And our runway turnout lights off. So let's just make sure we got that off. There we go. So it's down. Aircraft is continuing to climb and get on course. So perhaps one thing for next takeoff, I should have probably left it flaps 2 for a little while. Even though it was just our pitch, since I was still manually flying it, but we still came off. We got a warning, but we didn't underspeed at any point. We were skirting the line, of course. But now we are most certainly airborne and climbing. On for our long-awaited journey. Alright, now we can most certainly come back down here. And you're going to see this. Spoilers are disarmed now. Wheel brakes should automatically be disarmed. And let's see what else we have here. Cockpit door is unlocked. We can most certainly fix that issue. All we have to do is just come down here and lock it. Alright, I heard somebody trying to make some announcements. This is to normal. Now let's come over here and take a quick peek at what our speeds are going to be. So eventually we're going to get up to Mach 0.83. And we'll be there for quite some time. Alright, and that's the only thing about this aircraft being, when it's operational, the actual throttles go into the way. Or get into the way, I should say. Alright. We have 3,546 nautical miles to go, so just a little bit. Alright, so hopefully the winds stay out of the south. We'll just keep that runway, but if not, then we'll make adjustments while we're in the air. Alright, so we've been airborne there for a little bit. As you can see, 7 minutes. So proud of myself, I actually hit that chronometer. Alright, now we're picking up speed. The aircraft is going to get us up to 330 knots. We are at 10,000 feet, so we can most certainly turn off those landing lights. Landing lights are off. Everything else is looking good. We can get our airflow to normal, of course. And we are most certainly here cruising. Now when I say cruising, I mean we are flying. Obviously we are in the climb still, and then we will most certainly get to the cruise phase.
Ladies and gentlemen, our aircraft continues to climb. We would like to remind you that all flights of our airline are not smoking. For your safety, the lavatories have been equipped with smoke detectors. Damaging or disconnecting the smoke detectors is strictly prohibited. On the overhead panel you will find a personal lamp, air conditioning, and a flight attendant button. The lavatory for the business class passengers are located in the front of the airplane, and for the economy class passengers, in the back and center of the airplane. For your safety, when seated, we recommend to keep your seat belts fastened, even when the fasten seat
It's a pretty aggressive climb there. As you can see, we're back climbing at least at 1,800 feet per minute. So these engines are quite strong in order for us to maintain this speed with this climb pitch. And so we are out of the Honolulu area headed for Japan. Let's go to the first officer's side and increase his range. There we go, so we can kind of take a look here at our next points. We got Leanne in a little under 80 nautical miles, and then Nani about 140 nautical miles or so. Kind of glad I put that extra fuel on there. So we should be cruising for a while. The time we left Honolulu was pretty early in the morning. It must have been about 9, 10 o'clock right now. I set the sim time to be daytime, even though I'm actually flying at nighttime right now. But daytime flights make for a better sim life. So we will be traveling during the day during this flight, and hopefully maintain some light the whole way. Once we get over the water, of course, and get into the Japanese waters, this will turn from QNH will turn from, you know, inches to over to their system. So we'll be reading a different QNH once we get across that water. Just waiting here to get 18,000 feet or flight level 180 so that we can go ahead and put the aircraft into the transition altitude or altimeter setting of 29902, which this one will just say standard. Weather update there. Now we're into standard. Let's go over to the first officer side as well. Put his or hers, depending on who you are, because you are the first officer, into standard. Alright, let's continue to climb. And let's come on back here really quick and see what we can see. I have to control this with my joystick here. Is it me, or are the same passengers on each flight on this thing? Go figure. All she does is travel all the time. So, nice spacious cabin here. You can see the engine right there. Let me see which seat I can go into to see that. Let's look on the other side and see if there's someone else on the other side. Let's come over here and see if we can also view the engine cowling from here. And there it is. You can kind of see it. Let's figure out a nice spot for us to sit over here. Look at this thing. It's got like a little bench right here, a little bench seating, which is pretty cool. Maybe we'll just kind of hang out like right here. Just keep our eye out the window. There we go. We'll stay here for now. All right. To the should be any terrain underneath, so I'm not going to put the terrain on. There's the only terrain underneath us is called water. 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So we'll continue our climb here for now. See how things work out. We're going to be over a lot of blue. It's an unnecessary animal, but we had to do it. Simply because we can't stay in Hawaii forever, and we're not flying back to the US. We got to continue our worldwide tour. So we are going to be exploring some interesting areas, especially because I have you guys on board. So one thing that I'm for sure going to start doing is streaming. So I'm going to go ahead and start streaming some of these flights. I'll put the schedule out there, and you know, the long haul flights obviously are just going to be videos. We're not going to sit here for 8 hours to 12 hours and stream that, but any flights, you know, 2-3 hours, we'll do a couple of hops and jumps, do a few legs when we do our streams. So we'll start doing that. I'll see how I feel about that. I've done a couple of streams. Hopefully the video quality will still, you know, stay keep the spirit of the video quality on YouTube, and I'll try to come up with a nice little production for us, essentially. But we'll be doing some streams here, and yeah, in the meantime, I'm going to let you guys finish climbing the aircraft. Everything here looks copacetic, and once we level off, we will have an extensive amount of time on this aircraft to hang out. So I showed you guys in the last flight on the A350-900XWB extra wide body that there is a crew rest space in the back. That's where I'll be going while you guys take the helm and monitor everything. So we've got about 13,400 feet to go till we are done climbing up to flight level 400. So, with that being said, let's get you guys over here on your side. There we go, passing that last little islands there. We're gonna get you guys over here to your side, and this is where we're gonna monitor the aircraft right here. Well, that's where you guys are gonna monitor the aircraft. So you guys hang in there. I'm gonna be in the back, up top, sleeping. But you know, send me a message if you need anything, and I'll come back up and we'll figure it out together, like we always do, like the waypoints and everything. So I will check you guys out soon, and don't let it overwhelm you. You are in charge of the aircraft, all right? So just like I told my daughters when I taught them to drive, hey, listen, the vehicle's not in charge of you, you're in charge of it. Remember that. You know, don't say I didn't give you guys anything for Christmas either. So there's a free tip straight up from Dre Sanchez. All right, folks, fly safe. I'll be in the back snoozing. we are still cruising here, which we've been cruising for many hours. We are almost upon descent. You guys have done a great job of keeping the aircraft stable, passengers alive, more importantly me alive. We're pulling it in. We are about ready to get off this aircraft. Getting a little cabin crazy in here. See the weather updating there. You see we're over that blue water still, and we should be pulling into Narita International anytime soon. So let's go ahead and take a peek at our, we've got 56 miles here to 55 now to descend. We are most certainly going to be landing south. I've been doing some weather updating here, and it is definitely a southern landing. Let me pull that information in there for you. So what's kind of good about that is that's what we kind of planned way back when, before we even got airborne. As you can see here, we've got the latest MEDAR report. We got winds out of the south at 190 degrees at 4 knots, so very good conditions for full flaps landing in this aircraft. We're going to be switching over to QNH now, so we'll have 1013 QNH, and the temperature is 0 degrees Celsius or 30 degrees Fahrenheit, so just below freezing. The aircraft will de-ice itself automatically, which is a good thing. After we start our descent, we will go ahead and start thinking about. So we will be landing. Let's take a look at this really quick before we do start that descent. We better do this quickly. So we are going to be landing on runway 16 right. Given our weight and size of the aircraft, it doesn't make sense to limit ourselves to 8,202 feet. So we'll get this runway here 16 right, and essentially we'll hit the runway here. We'll get off somewhere here in Alpha. Now the plan is to pick up Charlie here after Alpha, so we'll have to come up here, looks like to W1, or if it says Charlie, and take this Charlie all the way around. We can keep taking Charlie all the way around to our parking spot is basically in this area here. If you look at parking apron spots, again, here's that Charlie taxiway. We can even take Charlie all the way back up and wrap around and get this spot 66 is what we're looking for. And then on the approach, we're going to go ahead and do 16 right, and we'll do the ILS Zulu runway 16 right, Cat 2 or 3. This is definitely that type of aircraft to do that. So let's get this out of here, and let's take a peek again at our descent. Now on the Star, we are doing the Lubla Golf, and we need our lowest point on the approach is Casio, and let's take a quick peek at this again. Okay, so we're coming in here from Lubla transition, then we do the Lubla G. So they do their stars a little different over here. So we're going to go ahead and pick up the Lubla G, and we'll go to Vogue, Alpha Alpha 658, Alpha Alpha 659 to Safra at 8,210. We're going to go ahead and do a left turn. It's pretty a sharp left turn here, and we'll be direct Casio. That's an 18.2 nautical mile leg, and we'll be 6,000 at Casio. We're keeping our speed at 210. Of course, and you can see here max 230 at or below 14,000, max 240. So we'll keep it at 210, and this Gemin here should be on our approach. So if you take a look at our 16 right Zulu Cat 2 approach, we can either get it from Norma or Gemin. So we're gonna, our intercept or our initial approach fix for us will actually be Gemin, and then we come right around nice and smooth. So we'll be preparing the aircraft for that, of course. So what that means for us is we can go ahead and make concessions here for the aircraft to most certainly descend down to 6,000 feet. So there's 6,000 feet, and then of course we'll get that QNH situated here. And let's pull this back over a little more now, so we can get a better idea when we were right there on that top of descent. And then what we'll simply do, we'll just come here and we'll push this in, and she'll descend down there. So there's somebody obviously getting ready to take a test. So I'm not really going to mess with the arrival stuff and switching the runway until we get a little bit closer on the approach, simply because I don't want to my track IR here going here. I don't want to simply mess up the FMC on some fluke and then us have to scramble and try to get to our arrival. And actually it already has the whole arrival in here for 16 right, which is great, instead of 16 left. So we don't really have anything to do, folks. I mean, I'm so glad that this happened. I'm so glad that it turned out that we essentially have the whole route programmed in here, which is an awesome advantage that we have. Let's see how many minutes we've got. Alright, we've got 22 nautical miles to go, so we're coming up there. So let's go ahead and get the cabin crew ready to go.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we start our descent, please make sure your seat backs and tray tables are in their full upright position. Make sure your seat belt is securely fastened, and all carry-on luggage is stowed underneath the seat in front of you, or in the overhead bins. Please turn off all electronic devices until we are safely parked at the gates. We hope that you found our flight enjoyable. We would like to remind you that cushions and blankets are to be left in your seats. Thank you.
Alright. Cruising right along. Look at these winds, are crazy. We've got the winds basically right off our nose at 175 knots, slowing us down to a ground speed of 325. Our true airspeed is 499, but look at that. That wind is just hitting us egregiously. Alright, and once we get to this point here, it's time to go down, folks. There we go. We'll get us nice and close to where we hit the point. Pretty much spot on. Alright, let's come over here and look at your guys' side and see what we're looking at. And we're going to come in Casio, and then we hit Grumman and then Koala, and then we swing right back around for the runway. So that looks good. Let's see if we can reduce. It's probably going to lose most of it because it's not going to be out of range, but we'll keep this side a little bit more tuned in. And then of course we are just going to want to check the points. Enter destination data, which we will, and they're more talking about the QNH and all that stuff. Let's look at the flight plan. Actually, let's look at something really quick. Perf 9 flight plan. Let's just make sure we have Casio at 6,000, which we do. Alright, let's go back over here to the perf. You can see we got 7 nautical miles before we start our descent. Let's make sure we have all of these lights up, even though I'm sure we won't need them. Alright. It's been a pretty decent flight thus far. We just want to get in there and get on the ground safely after investing so much time traveling with these virtual passengers, including yourself. All right. And the time to descend is pretty much now. All right, aircraft is starting the descent. Let's go ahead and make that announcement.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind you that use of all electronic devices during descended landing is prohibited as it may interfere with the navigational equipment. Thank you.
Might have to throw some drag on there. We'll monitor that, see if we need to throw any drag. Now let me just double check pull the weather up on my second screen here. And alright, so the QNH is 1013 and we set the temperature as 0 Celsius. So let's go ahead down here, enter that data in here. So we are going to go to our performance, cruise, descent. Okay, and now our approach. So the winds, the magnetic heading is 190. And we're gonna type in let me see here, 190, enter. That's the way the winds are coming from. And then it's at 4 knots. Enter that. The outside air temperature is 0 Celsius, and the QNH is 1013. Can enter that. There we are, and let's see here. All right. Let's see. Let's go ahead and let me make sure what this transition altitude is in here real quick. Looks like we're landing at flaps 139. The approach right now is at 144. Make sure we're not overspeeding or anything, so we're doing good there. You can see now those wings are off our left wing. You can see the airplane is yawing to stay on course. All right, now let's look and see what our transition altitude is on the chart. All right, okay, transition level okay, transition altitude. Let's pull this in. Getting a little chop there. Alright, so the transition altitude is right here. It's at 14,000 feet, or flight level 140 as they call it. So that's when we'll change the QNH over to the 101.3. And then as you can see, for missed approach, up to 800 feet on a heading of 157, then right turn, climb your right turn to 6,000 to the NRE radial of 187, and the frequency for the NRE is 117.9. The computer will put all this in. Now if you look here for Cat 2 ILS, the radial altimeter is 101. The decision height is 230 feet. So that would be where we'd put that information in for the Cat 2 ILS. The Cat 3 AILS, that means this aircraft doesn't land itself. It's going to make its own decision and all that good stuff. But for all important references our decision altitude is, or height is going to be 230 feet. Radio altimeter is 101, as you can see right there. So that's the information that we're putting in. We need to make sure it is the transition altitude is 14,000 feet. It is. So the computer already recognized that. And again, radio altimeter decision height is going to be 200 feet. So we can enter that in for our minimums. And yeah, altitude. So radio altimeter is 101. So I'll leave it just like that for now. So now we have put in the correct information. We got ILS 16 right, of course, which is Cat 2 or Cat 3. So that information is already input into the computer. We will be landing flaps full as we get into the airport. So we've got, and then we'll also be changing this situation here. So again, we don't have to mess with the altimeters until 14,000 feet, which is awesome. Alright. And we're at direct VAGLA. So if we come down here and take a look at our flight plan, we got VAGLA, and we should be passing that flight level 218. Alright, looks like we have plenty of runway. So when it comes to our air brakes, we will, or our wheel brakes, I should say, we'll get that all situated. I'm thinking we can land at potentially three, just to be on the safe side. That's kind of aggressive. We are heavy. Maybe we'll stick with 3. The quicker we stop, always the better for me. So we have our auto brakes armed, of course. Now let's let the aircraft continue to do its descent, but let's pick up on our range here so we can kind of see what we're doing. Speed is looking good. We'll start worrying more about that approach speed once we get a little closer to the field. So we're down here now, and actually let me fix that view. Okay, that was takeoff. Let's go to normal procedures. Let's go to descent preparation. Weather was changed. Landing air reference was ECAM status. Approach data inserted. Position nav aids. So we did all this. Auto brake, anti-ice is required, of course. And then we can keep going into the descent at 10,000 feet. Landing lights. Okay, so we're still doing okay there. Normally in the United States, we would have already asked for or entered our transition altitude. But guess what? We're not in the United States anymore. So guess what? Things change. Alright, so there are some aircraft that are close to us. So let me share that with you. This is us here, Hawaiian Airlines 318. But you see this person here is ahead of us, coming out of Hong Kong. and they're coming in as well. So it really looks like there's only one aircraft ahead of me, so we will most certainly be doing our call outs. Alright, Tokyo traffic, Hawaiian Airlines 318 descending via the Lubla G, expecting runway 16 right, full stop for Tokyo traffic. Alright, so we just made a little announcement there. And it actually looks like we're going to be getting somebody in the approach area, but he's not for our field, he's for a different well, actually, he is Tokyo approach. So perhaps we will be contacting him here shortly. Okay, so if he does want us to contact him, it'll be on 119.1. Alright, now we need to go ahead and pull this out, and we need to switch this over, and it's 1 point off, so there we go. We need to do the same thing here, and this is cool because we'll be switching our other standby altimeter, and so if you switch that over, you could tell the altimeter for normal inches is 29903. So the QNH is 1013. So now we just switch that to 29903. Thing is super touchy. Anyway, close enough. Alright, and you can see the aircraft will be slowing down there. Alright, and it is slowing down right now as we speak. Let's go ahead and get our landing lights on. I like to turn them all on. Alright, so we've got our auto brake set to 3. Decision height right here, as you can see, is 200. And once we get on the ILS and all that good stuff, we will be activating this in the approach. Now let's come over to the first officer side and kind of use your side for a better view now. So we're almost going to be R-navving here, but these turns look awfully sharp to be picking up the ILS per se. But we'll give her a go. Alright, there's 10,000 feet coming up, so now we can come back over to the checklist. So let's do that. Alright, exterior lights are set. Flight date is entered and the barrel's been referenced. Rate of descent is required. Speed brakes is required. Weather on EFS is required. Alright, that is our descent menu is complete. Alright, so we're going to also go ahead and let the aircraft actually come down to 4,000, which that'll be our final altitude that we need to be on to catch the ILS. Again, we're nice and low here. Once we get on the ILS, we'll go ahead and get our speed to our approach speed, which is bada bing, bada boom, come to the perf. The approach speed is a nice, robust 144 with a VREF of 139, and we are landing in the flaps full configuration. So that's good. Manage speed. Speed brakes is required. Alright, now you can see us making some jagged turns. Aircraft is maintaining the value of 8,000 feet. So if we were to come up, we're still over the water, but essentially, if you look here where the nose of the aircraft is, you could almost even see where the runway is at, so it should be maybe off the first officer side. If we can sit up a little bit, the airport should be right over here, and this way you can see some land we're getting over there. It's good to see land again. Let's check our fuel stores and see if this calculation was correct. Yep, about 13.68 kilograms of fuel is correct. Even if you come down here, it calculated it earlier. We'll get an approach phase here in a second and activate that. And here's where we're going to activate the approach. Doing a nice little northern turn here. Essentially, if you look here, it kind of puts us downwind and then gives us a really weird walk-in. Again, that final turn is kind of funny, but if we simply leave it on, let me look at the approach here. All right. Let's go ahead and do speed check flaps 1. Bring that nose down slightly. Go ahead and take over the speed now. keep our speed up. Okay, and let's check Safra where we're supposed to be there. Okay, Safra 8,000, 8,000. Okay, then Casio is going to be 6,000. So once we get to Safra, we should most certainly be slowing down. But now we have our speed managed by ourselves. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and double check the approach. So we should add, after Jimin, Acela and Pixis is what we should do. So after Jimin, we should be adding Acela and Pixis, and that'll give us a better turn. We're going to insert Acela. Waypoint. Let's see, North 36. Let's come over here. Take a look at this madness. It's giving us north. Let's just return. And let's cancel that really quick. Koala. So let's look at our last points there. Let's see, they've already expired. Let me look at the flight plan really quick and get this in here, folks. Gotta do some quick thinking. Acela 29 north, 31 150. So if we go into adding a certain next waypoint, waypoint would be Acela. North 36, so it's got to be this one. Well, I guess it's not letting us put any of those in. So let's cancel that. Okay, let's try, even if we do Pixis and Brook. So let's go Jimin, insert next waypoint, and we'll do Pixis, P-I-X-U-S. Jimin, Pixis, insert that, and then after Pixis we want to do Brook. Alright, and then we'll do, oops, let's erase that one. After Pixis we're doing insert next waypoint, which is going to be Brook. Okay, didn't like any of that, so we'll just stick with what we have, and then we'll just delete this and insert that, and now we've at least got that in there to make a little bit of a better arrival. So at least now we come up to Pixis, then we swing around to Koala, and it gives us a little bit better of a turn than we did before. So now we should be descending down to 6,000. You can see here, that's when we'll start the descent. All right. And then Jimin, once we get to Casio, Jimin is actually the initial fix, so we'll go ahead and activate the approach. Nice slow speed over here. No rush. Slow and steady wins the war. And again, our V approach is going to be 144. Alright, and hopefully we don't need it, but we'll go ahead and arm the auto brake. So you'll see this guy dance up a little bit. There you go. That's armed. Should reflect that over here as well. Speed brake arm, auto brake is armed. Alright, we're just monitoring the aircraft to make sure when we get to this point, we're going to start our descent. Alright, looks like we're going to have to do it ourselves. Alright, aircraft is definitely descending now. So we got those winds kind of right off our nose. All right. So now essentially once we turn here to the right, if you take a look here, we're essentially going to be downwind of runway 16 right. So we should be able to catch it out of our window. Essentially it's right over here. Hopefully that cloud's not covering anything. All right. Wind's getting a little shaky here. Alright, we are making that turn. Let's go down here now and activate the approach phase. So if you come over to descent, and actually the approach phase has already been activated. See, it's no longer allowing us to highlight that. So now we are officially in the approach phase. And we'll just keep our speed. Okay, so here in a second, let's see if we can see. And of course, there's a cloud there, so we don't get to see the fill. That's okay. And I still don't even like the way this turn looks. So we might even, let's go ahead and make our own descent. And let's go ahead and kind of get our own thing going here. Because I certainly am not fond of that turn there. So we can essentially come up here and make our own snappy turn so that we get direct, and then I'll get on the ILS and all that good stuff. So no worries there. We have our descent. All we need to do is go down to 4,000. And let's go down to make sure our radio is still good, transmitting. Tokyo traffic. Hawaiian Airlines 318 is downwind, runway 16 right. We'll be making a left turn in Pixis in about 10 nautical miles to go to final for full stop, runway 16 right for Tokyo traffic. Alright. So, getting under this little cloud layer here. I know we can't see the field now, but we'll just keep her nice and steady here. Go back and take a look. See what the passengers see here. They're just ready to get off the plane safely after such a long journey, I'm sure. Alright. Doing good. I feel like this is a much better option than taking this weird turn and having us not hit the approach angle correctly. We can essentially make that turn around, arm the ILS, and do what we need to do. And the funny thing is, even without knowing it, we made our turn kind of how we should have. So this is where that point should have pretty much got us downrange, and we just did this on our own, not knowing. So they're basically on a heading of 342, but it looks like we're going to intercept that anyway. Then we could get on a heading of 277 towards Pixis and then make our turn in to 187. So that's essentially what we're going to do. Alright. Let's make a few adjustments here. And then at Koala, we need to be at 4,000, which we already are. And that's where we'll pick up the glide slope information, and the aircraft should be tracking right at Grebe. Steady as she goes. Go ahead and do a 277 turn. 90. Steady as she goes, folks. Nice and steady is how we want it. That's how we're going to do it. All right. Okay, now we're getting ready to go over to heading 187. And then we'll arm the localizer, of course. Start making our turn. 3, 2, 1. All right. 187, here we come. And now essentially what we can do, folks, is we can jump down here and do a direct koala insert, activate the localizer, and get our landing information on. Alright, folks. Start bringing that aircraft down to 170. Get some more flaps out. Speed check flaps 2. And let's come down here and just make sure. Approach ILS 16 right, everything is in there. Landing configuration is full via approach 144. It's all looking good to me. The localizer has been captured, folks. Alright, localizer is captured. Now we can go ahead and put this into the approach mode. Right now it's got Cat 3 single with the decision height of 200, which we set, but we still will be landing it. Tokyo Narita traffic. Hawaiian Airlines 318 is 2.3 nautical miles from Koala for final approach for runway 16 right, full stop, Tokyo Narita traffic. Alright, let's start dialing that speed back, of course. Speed check flaps 3. Alright. So then from this point, if you come to the flight plan, from Grebe, we essentially are going to have, so we're still a little bit further out. We still got about 12 miles there, about 15 nautical miles, so it's a longer final. So we'll kind of maintain this speed, of course. Let's go ahead and get this back onto our perf. See, that glide slope is slowly but surely falling down. Alright, folks. Still no visual on the runway, but that's okay. Alright, glide slope has been captured. Alright, so we've got a 11 nautical miles. Very hazy. Alright, we have a visual of the runway. Gear is coming down. And we're going full flaps. Flaps are to full. Gear is down, 3 green. The seat belts, no smoking, auto brake, and speed brake is armed. And let's look up top. Runway turnout lights are on, landing, as well as the taxi. So we're all good there. And then we have the runway right there. Alright, let's see if we can't get ourselves angled up a little higher here. Ought to be an interesting one. She's bouncing around everywhere. Tokyo Narita traffic. Hawaiian Airlines 318 is on a 5-mile final for runway 16 right, full stop for Tokyo Narita traffic. Alright folks, let's go ahead and take her. Alright, we're not going to have any of that madness this time. Let's see, gears down, everything is good. Let's get us a good view and fly her in, folks. Autopilot is off. So we're just going to handle her, hand fly her. Very stable approach. All right, nice sterile cockpit for right now. All right.
Terrain. Terrain.
500.
Terrain.
500. 500.
Terrain.
500.
All right.
500. 500. 500.
Looks like we were 500 for a while.
400.
All right, landing. Alright, steady as she goes.
Terrain.
300.
100 above.
Terrain.
Minimum 100.
Landing.
One hundred, 90, 80, 70, 60, 50, 40, 30, 20, retard, 10.
Alright. We are down. Reversers are on. Alright. Reverse free. Alright. Easing off over here. Alright, folks. Welcome into Japan. Alright. Slow her down here for a bit. Let's go up top. Before we make our announcement, let's get our landing off and our strobe off, of course. Alright. Tokyo Narita traffic. Hawaiian Airlines 318 is clear of runway 16 right. Will be taxiing to gate stand 66 Terminal 2 via Alpha for Narita traffic. Alright. Let's go ahead and clean the aircraft up. Okay, so we're going to come over here. A6, this is Alpha. So this is what we want. Hopefully this is what we want. Let me go ahead and straighten her up and then check my taxi chart. If not, we got plenty of taxiing we can do. Straighten her up here for a second. Alright, and let me get my taxi chart up. Okay, so we definitely need to make some turns here. Gonna make a bit of a sharp turn here. Alright, now we're gonna look for, I guess the easiest one to look for would just be Tango. Slow her down just a little bit. So this is the Charlie that we should have been looking for, but we got a pretty good stop coming off that runway. So without any first officer to to maintain that. So now we can just come right on here and follow this around, basically. So we'll just follow Charlie around, maybe until we get to Sierra 7. So we got a ways to go to taxi here, so alright, just gonna follow this on around. Alright, so now we'll just cruise. This is a pretty big airport. You can go ahead and get that APU up and running. Alright, continuing right along, slow going. So we have a crossway. I just don't know if I use that crossway if we're going to be able to get our stand appropriately. See, that was one of the ways we could have went. Yeah, we'll still get off on this Sierra 7 here. Alright, into the field we go. Alright, I wonder. Okay, so it doesn't show me 66. Alright, so let's slow our approach here. Let's see what we got here. I don't know if this is stand 6. Okay, that's 110. 66. Well, this is going to be it today, folks. So I'm trying to see, is that 66 over there? Ah, 67. So we're one off. That's alright, we'll take 67, folks. Alright, we're getting some reading out there, so alright. Let's do max brakes here and look down. And that should get it. It says too far, but that's all we could do, folks. So we are most certainly cooking with Crisco here. We're going to get the aircraft shut down here in a second, but in the meantime, let's go ahead and look at that replay, folks, and see how we did as usual.
Terrain.
500,
Terrain.
500, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500, 500.
Terrain. 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 Terrain.
300.
Terrain. 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 Terrain.
20, 10.
right here from the flight deck. Once again, thanks for joining us on this wonderful flight. And now we can go ahead and jump outside. The aircraft is all turned off, and systems are taking a break after such a long flight. As you can see, we have our external power on. We have all the packs and bleeds off, generators off. The AP was on for a hot minute, but while you guys were watching the replay, I went ahead and got the ground power back on. Now we can most certainly come outside and double check the scene outside. You can see the gates have aligned with the aircraft's doors here, and we are looking good, even though we decided to make a command decision for gate 67. So I'm thinking 66 is somewhere over here. Here's 65, so I don't know if it was not modeled right or whatever the case may be, but 67 is working. We are at the gate. The passengers are disembarking. And once again, as always, I want to thank you guys for a great flight, for being great first officers and passengers and subscribers and viewers and all that good stuff. So now that we're over here, we'll figure out where our next route is going to be. Until then, take care of each other. Be good. I look forward to seeing you guys on the next flight here on Dre Sanchez YouTube channel, aka The Motivated Sim Pilot. All right, take care. Happy holidays.